and a little child shall lead them. Good morning. Welcome to this morning, this day, this opportunity to be together in community. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. My name is Reverend Karen Bush, and I serve as the interim lead minister for this congregation. And I'd like to say with everyone this morning, in case you don't know it, it's almost Happy Halloween. And for all those who honored us with a view of your costumes this morning, we are deeply, deeply grateful. We hope you have a wonderful and safe Halloween celebration. Do you know Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain? It reads as Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. The Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year November 1. So this day marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred, thinned. And on the night of October 31 every year, they celebrated wearing animal skins and pulling pranks. So, happy Samhain, everybody. Wherever you are this morning, whether here in person or online, we're happy Samhain that you're here. Together, we are invited to bring all that we are, all that we love, and all that we hope for the world, including our deepest commitments to a more just world. Our congregation's mission is to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. We are a church of many different theologies that values deeds above creeds. We are a church that strives to build beloved community in the here and now, striving to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection. Every Sunday, we gather together as a community of seekers to honor the interdependence of life and to respect the dignity of all, and to honor the land we walk on. We acknowledge together that here on Green Street, we worship upon the traditional territories of the Kaskaskia, the Miamia, the Beaudois-de-Mi, the Kickapoo, the Peoria, and the Oshawa-Shakowinin, the original nations of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This congregation is blessed with the space and the opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to live out our dream of a community of peace, liberty, and justice for all. With these thoughts, let us move into worship, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and open to connection in all its forms. Our co-worship leader today, David Wolf, will now come lead us in our chalice lighting.
In the order of service, you can read with me the chalice lighting. As we light this chalice, may we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to this community and to each other. And if you are willing and able, stand up and sing hymn 1051 in the teal, this is teal, hymnal. Are you going to do that?
And good morning. We'll sing all the repeats, including the 4 repeats at the very end. So be ready for that. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the wisdom of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great vision. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
A time for all ages. Kids of all ages, we're about to have some guests. I think we're ready. Are you ready for our guests, everybody? A Tale of Three Villages by Renee Rugocek. There once were two travelers whose village was flooded. Together they set out for higher ground to find a new home. As they journeyed, they reminisced in stories of their former home and their loved ones lost to the flood. As they crossed over the mountains, they saw a sheltered, fertile valley beyond with a cluster of 3 villages. One said,
"This land looks a lot like home, but I'm a little bit nervous about meeting other new people."
The second said,
"Oh, we have become good friends. We know and trust each other, and we share tasks fairly. So let's ask good questions at each village to help us find a new home."
Over their fire that night, they came up with 2 questions.
How does the village make decisions?
And
What happens when you don't agree?
when they entered the first village, the villagers told them,
We have a powerful ruler who decides what is best for our village. The ruler's family have been in charge for many generations. If we have a disagreement, the ruler decides for us.
the travelers looked at each other with tight lips, then thanked the villagers and continued their journey. When they entered the second village, they asked,
How does your village make decisions?
the villagers responded,
In our village, we vote for people who can serve on a council, and we only vote for the ones who promise that they're definitely going to make good decisions for us.
Then the travelers asked,
What happens when you don't agree with what the council decides?
Well, sometimes we don't agree, but we still have to do it anyway, and we just try and vote for a better council next time.
The travelers looked at each other with disappointed eyes, then said,
Thank you.
and
Goodbye.
to those villagers as well. As they trudged to the third village, they talked amongst themselves. One said,
Well, that sounded good at first, but was it better than the village with a ruler?
another said,
Not really. Some people have a bigger say.
the first said,
Yeah, after the others vote for them, the people on the council can do whatever they want.
In the third village, they soon found some villagers to ask about decision-making there. One villager smiled and said,
Come, we will show you.
the villagers formed a large circle and invited the travelers to join them. The villager said,
We welcome you into our circle. If you'd like to stay, you must keep our agreements. Speak the truth, keep your promises, honor and care for this circle as part of earth and sky.
The travelers looked at each other with shining eyes and agreed in unison. The villager then explained,
This is how we make important decisions, by listening to each other in their turn, under these agreements until a decision is made. This is also how we disagree under these agreements. Sometimes we agree to disagree, but we disagree with respect and peace.
The travelers smiled widely. They had found their new home. The author of the story has some questions for us to consider in ourselves as a community, just quietly in our thoughts. Why do you think the travelers decided to stay in the third village? What is important to the people in the third village? What values can you notice in their agreements? And what are the values that the people share where you live? What rules do you go by that help you live by those values? Thank you. Each Sunday, we bring our individual joys, sorrows, and concerns to our time together. Please bring to mind the joys and sorrows in your life, as well as those in your circle of care and of the wider world around you. For those of us online, there is still time to send a joy or sorrow to be shared aloud at joysandsorrows@uucuc.org. Those here in the sanctuary are invited to use Joys and Sorrows card on the back of the pew in front of you, or also send online. After you have written yours, please pass it outside the aisles, and the ushers will bring them forward to place in the altar. As we now enjoy our blessing song, Longtime Son, our children, youth, and REE volunteers are invited to make their ways down to classes. This is a new thing for us. We're giving it a whirl. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or with us online, you are now invited to sing along or simply let the music wash over you, your longtime son. In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experience matters. We share our sorrows with one another today, knowing that sorrows comes in each person's life, and knowing that together we offer comfort. We also share our joys with one another, knowing that, too, that joy comes into all our lives, knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. Mimi, remembering my father with love, he passed away 1 year ago. Tim Temple, remembering my mother's birthday, October 30th, 1926. Miss her daily. Gail Hoiting, I'm so glad to be here after 4 days in the hospital and glad to be dealing with the problems that turned up. Margaret Lovell, joy. Sheila is healing well from shoulder surgery. Sorrow, she has to go back to work tomorrow. Reverend Sally, send good vibes to Denver today, where my sister is due to go into labor with a baby girl any minute. Marsh McClard and Cherry Boast, we want to express thanks to our many friends, mostly UUs, who have assisted us in the past 10 days as I recover from back surgery and COVID, following Charlie's positive COVID test a few days ago. We received flowers, get well wishes, and food from so many, which is making recovery much easier. Thank you, Marcia. Not every joy or sorrow can be shared openly in community. Some must be shared eye to eye or held in the heart. We further recognize that some do not have voices with which to speak the depth of their pain or the height of their celebration. And so this morning we light a single candle in honor and acknowledgement that the life and experience of every person and creature matters. And together our light shines brighter. For our music of meditation, MR is going to lead us in hymn number, I have that. 1027. 1037, thank you. As they lead us, after one phrase, then I'll read the lines, and you may have more instructions, or is that about sum it up? Okay. So you're invited to join in or let the music just carry you. Number 1037 in the teal. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we build a wall rather than a bridge between ourselves and another person.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other.
May it be so. For our community matters, I direct you when you get home to this week's e-news, where a poll has taken place that the staff and lay leaders would love to hear from each and every one of you, wherever you are in the world, concerning our congregational mask policy. I suppose this is particularly true if you're here in Illinois. Your opinion on mandatory masks during worship and the services. Please, we want to hear from you. Just go in the e-news and click your choice. And then there's going to be another poll next week, a little more fun and upbeat, about Christmas Eve services. Reverend Sally and I are making some decisions, and we hope to have everyone here. We'd love to have everyone here, but we'd like to know if you're coming, if you're bringing company, family with you. If you would take a moment when that comes out this coming Friday and click that box, that would be really helpful. We thank you. On that note, Angie Urban will now come speak to us on behalf of our search team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Angie Urban, a member of your search team. You may be wondering why this caption says, "Think of a minister, don't think of an elephant." Well, I gave you the image of the elephant. But what distinct images come to mind when you think of a new minister? Do you think of a particular person, of gender, race, or age? If the answer is that you're not quite sure, you may be asking yourself other questions, such as, will the new minister hear me? Will my concerns and needs be met? Will the minister understand what I am living with? How will our community respond to our new minister? In answering these questions, a picture of an ideal minister, categorized by age, gender, identity, nationality, physicality, cognitive ability, race, sexual orientation, etc., all come to mind. With this picture in place, it can be easy to unintentionally exclude ministers who fall into certain categories. At times, as we get caught up in comparing candidates to our picture, we can even forget what it is we hoped for in a new minister. In about 3 weeks, you have the opportunity to participate in the Beyond Categorical Thinking workshop offered by the Unitarian Universalist Association for congregations involved in the search for a new minister. Our search committee here invites all congregational leaders, members, and friends to participate in this 2-part workshop. Please see the newsletter or see the link on this slide here to register your attendance. The Beyond Categorical Thinking program is designed to promote inclusive thinking and help prevent unfair discrimination in the search process for that new minister. This program includes a 3-hour Beyond Categorical Thinking workshop and a Sunday morning service with facilitators trained by the UUA. In this workshop, we will consider the hopes, expectations, and concerns we have for finding a new minister, learn more about the ministerial search process, and explore how thinking categorically about people sometimes interferes with choosing the best candidate. You may join us via Zoom from wherever you are most comfortable on Friday, November 18th at 7 to 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, November 19th, 10 to 11:30 a.m. to participate in this UUA-sponsored workshop led by instructors Donna Dolham and Gil Guerrero. And we'll be there as well, the search team. The selection of a minister is important. The Beyond Categorical Thinking workshop is another opportunity for everyone here in our congregation to be a part of that process. This experience will provide guidance for the search team and our work as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie, and thank you, our search team. We're working hard for this congregation. Each Sunday, in recognition of our very real interdependence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate. We as Unitarian Universalists acknowledge that our circle of care doesn't stop at our church doors. We are deeply committed to the community we find ourselves in and to wider church. As we pass the plate and sharing our offering with an organization doing justice in the world, we share out of our love and our treasure. Through the month of October, our collection has been shared with the Trauma Resilience Initiative. Trauma and Resilience Initiative is a nonprofit organization and community of individuals who are working to help make Champaign County a trauma and justice-informed community where everyone has a right to be, become, and belong. The strategies used to accomplish these goals are to provide education and information about trauma and structural inequalities, its impact throughout the community, helping healers, educators, leaders address the needs of those affected, and supporting survivors impacted by community violence and community adversity with healing, wellness, and recovery support. You can give by text or through the online portal on our website, or if you are here in the sanctuary, a basket will be passed and checks can be made out to UUCUC. No matter how you choose to contribute today, half of your donation will go to the work of this church and half to the Trauma and Resilience Initiative. We invite you to give whatever is generous for you and know that anything you contribute will be gratefully received and put to use, helping make a real impact right here in our community. The offering will now be taken as our choir sings our offertory.
I just want to give a tiny bit of background on the offertory for today. We are singing from the Jewish morality laws. The words you'll hear, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ashalom, we're talking about the world being sustained by three things: by truth, by justice, and by peace.
Amen.
Thank you for your generosity, expressed in this and so many ways. David Wolf will now come and share our morning reading. Thank you, choir.
This is a reading from the UUCUC Congregational Covenant, written in 2005. We promise to express our differences openly and respectfully, speaking directly with those involved, listening closely, offering real solutions in ways that are constructive and not judgmental, and accepting conflict as an inevitable aspect of healthy relationships.
A question for you all to think about. I invite you to think back in time when you were at an occasion with other people in your life, whether around the dinner table, out with friends, or at a meeting here at church, when something happened. Something happened that hurt your feelings in some way, whether as subtle as a bump or as sharp as if your foot was stepped on. Perhaps a joke you felt was at your expense, or a thought or opinion that you were trying to share that was treated, you felt, dismissively, or perhaps a gruff-sounding remark, or a gesture, or a tone of voice. Perhaps it didn't involve what was said, but what wasn't said. Maybe a greeting not returned, or a phone call or letter. The feeling of being cut off, overlooked. What did you do in response? What did you do with your hurt feelings? What did you feel physically? Where was it located in your body? And what were you thinking? How long did it stay with you? Okay, David. You're up.
Oh boy.
David, I have found that from your training and professional expertise, you are a good resource for effective conflict resolution and healthy communication. As we're all reconnecting more with person, with family and friends, and as our congregation is coming back together and is working more and more closely with each other again, there's bound to be some misunderstandings, some disagreements, disappointments, and frustrations along the way. Even between the best of friends with the best of intentions. This is inevitable because we're all human and none of us is perfect. So David, why make an issue of this? Why can't we just be grown-ups, put those uncomfortable emotions aside and focus on the task at hand and just move on?
We can do that. Just move on. In our families, friendships, or communities, we can hide away our real feelings, hide them from ourselves or others, and just be nice. But it is safe to say that in our families, our friendships, and even in our communities, many of us, if not all of us, hope to be authentically known. And yes, in our communities, wait a minute, hold on. To be authentically known, to be cared for, and yes, loved beyond the polite masks of a stranger. This requires risk. It requires courage and genuine communication about our deeper, honest thoughts and our deeper feelings. Those feelings toward other people. The price of not doing so is dear, and it is a path of building walls instead of bridges between ourselves and those around us who matter. Most of us we have taught during growing up years to not act out as the result of difficult emotions, like fear or sadness or anger. But we haven't been really taught what to do with them. Yet we all have those feelings, whether we like them or not. We are not robots. We are mammals as well as thinking creatures. With our big brains and our amazing inventions and ideas, it seems that we've forgotten that we are mammals. This includes our lower brain instinctive responses to threat: fight, flight, and freeze. The triune brain theory, there it is, isn't it beautiful? The colors. Okay, science and many psychological theorists and therapy practitioners accept this as reality. And this lets us know that we humans, we very much retain these instincts in response to threat. They include defensive and aggressive responses to threat. Like, see, the reptilian brain, that's where we freeze or fight or flight. While we have many technologies that have kept most of us away from physical threats, we experience different types of threat. For example, hurt feelings, thoughts of potential future dangers, chronic isolation, even our self-image. As we tell ourselves to reach upward to being wise spirits, we deny our animal natures. Okay. For trust and understanding to happen between humans as family and friends, including in being part of a community like this one, all emotions matter, including the ones we are not comfortable with. This discomfort and uncertainty can lead us to repress these emotions until they build to a point of explosion, or become sarcastic, or critical without compassion, or shut down and avoid relationships. How about if we listen to a conversation between two individuals who have some unresolved hurt feelings and see what they do?
Hi, Janet. My name's Sally. I'm new. I'm so new I don't have a name tag. I'm a brand new visitor to this church, and it seems pretty nice so far, but I was just wondering, what are some ways I could get involved?
Well, Sally, welcome. We're a welcoming congregation, and I'm glad to hear you want to get involved. Just open your order of service or look on the e-news, and there are so many ways that you can participate in this church. You could join a book club, you could be part of Soul Matters, you could go to happy hour, you could join the choir, parades. We are big on parades. We march all the time, so any of those things you could join.
Okay, thank you. I'll look at the e-news, I guess.
Okay.
Now, David, what was wrong with that? They were perfectly nice, perfectly civil. They clearly get along. All seems fine with me. What's all this fuss about?
Well, let's just take a look at what might happen when they go in a different way. A little more raw approach to their expressed or unexpressed feelings that they may have down inside due to some unresolved tensions or issues that lead to hurt feelings.
Oh, here comes Janet. I don't know if I want to talk to her because she clearly doesn't want me going to anything. She just gave me a long list.
Sally, hi. We've run into each other several weeks now. And
Yeah.
I just sort of wonder because when I see you kind of go the other direction, Are you okay?
Well, it just feels like, like clearly you really want me to go to things. You just sent me to go read the e-news when I asked you for an invitation to a church event.
Well, Sally, we want to give you options. This church is all about deciding on your options. You can go in all sorts of directions. I don't want to tell you what to do. Just choose a direction and go that way.
It just seems like you don't actually want me around, and I don't want to bother anyone. Like I've been told that I'm annoying, so rather than annoying you, I'm just gonna kind of leave it be. This church is a little too closed off for me. Maybe I won't come back.
Oh, Sally, no, annoying, not at all. We're just lovely people here, and we embrace you. We welcome you. Come join us.
I just figured, I know Midwesterners are very indirect. I figured you're just being indirect, and I'll make that assumption.
Oh, no.
Oh boy, that was not so good. That's kind of what my fear might be. There are feelings that were being hurt and built up in there if I just wasn't more careful and more nice. I think that's true of a lot of people. So, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, could have been better. But there might be a lot else going on that they even showed in this scenario. So let's look at scenario 3 as how they can share what's going on in their heads and their hearts to perhaps give us some firsthand insight of what's actually going on internally.
And I'm wondering if this isn't going to be true improv in the raw sense, because I think we got our messages flipped between our improv artists. So let's just see how good they are.
Okay, because we're speaking to their genuine
Yeah, so,
I just want to say that something weird is going on with Sally, and I don't know what's happening. I mean, we had that little chat a couple weeks ago, and she seemed to be so hesitant. I gave her all these options, and I'm not going to tell her what to do. Good heavens, she's an adult. She can choose for herself. I don't get it. Is this my fault? I'm really being frustrated by this whole thing. In fact, I'm not only frustrated, I'm deeply perplexed.
I just want to say that I was taking a huge risk to come to this strange community. I've been to churches before that were like really closed off and cliquey and weird. And so as soon as I showed up and there was someone who was just going to send me to the e-news instead of actually being a human being and talking to me and inviting me to an event, I knew this is just like all the other churches I've tried.
oh boy. Well, now I can understand why they were both so careful when they first interacted today and why they were both avoiding being so snippy. That was something. They each did not want to hurt the other person or get a defensive response back to add more fuel to the fire. But in that scene, it certainly did happen. So what can they do to work this through without blowing it up bigger or building thicker walls or making it more awkward or putting each other more on the defense? David, help us out.
There is a simple, some people may think of as magical, but it's very simple, but it might be scary as heck. It's called a new communication tool. It's called the I statements, or the I speak, or I language. Let's see where we're going here. I won't be surprised if many people have already heard of this. If you haven't, don't be surprised. And if you have heard it before, has it been easy? Okay. Using I language or I statements is a way to express your thoughts and your feelings in an assertive but non-aggressive way. I statements tend to make the other person feel less defensive and more willing to listen. And for the person who speaks, it's easier to be heard. This can be helpful for diffusing conflicts and asserting ourselves in a polite way. We all can learn how to develop this type of language, phrase them for the best results to get our message across.
So a magical way to not put people on their defense. But what if I can't even let myself know that I'm upset yet? what, let alone what to do or to be really ready to talk about it.
Well, maybe the hardest part of this I statement is to simply actually feel your emotions and then name the emotions. These are our feelings. There's a lot of energy in them. It's perhaps the most important part. Telling your friend how you feel allows the person to know you better. The second part is not easy either, to describe what's happened, what's actually happened, without using judgmental words. The third part is also important, to tell the other person what you really want from him or her. Being specific and down to earth can help the other really understand and perhaps to agree what you want. While many of us have never experienced this type of communication, we may feel defensive or confused, but with a little luck, we might feel relieved, and both might reciprocate. So learning to speak your heart and your mind, I call it an organic type of communication, might be quite challenging, but it improves relationships. It builds trust of yourself and others. There's 2 points else to mention. If you're barely upset just a tiny bit, maybe it's better to not say anything. But if you're pretty upset, and maybe you lose sleep over it, or you worry about it, or you're starting to not like that other person, really not like that person, it might be better to speak up. And one other idea is that before you open your mouth at all, you might ask yourself, who might benefit from this communication? Hopefully both parties will gain from it, and the relationship hopefully will get better. And you'd probably feel better yourself than holding it in.
Well, for a last question for you, David, because sometimes they say the longest distance in the world is the distance between two people. It can be kind of scary, being human to human together. But what should I be aware of after I share about my needs and feelings best I can using I statements? What should I be aware of?
Are we off script?
No,
I'm
right here,
confused.
question 6.
Oh, I read the wrong stuff.
You're good.
Okay.
They don't care. We're good. Right here. Let's see. Question number.
I was reading all this.
You're good. We've already gone through that. Thanks for bearing with us, folks.
Oh my goodness.
Let's share. Come over here. Let's share.
Let's do our I speak here.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm really embarrassed.
No. So I'm here. So right here. Right here. Just off my script.
Here?
No, right here.
Here.
Read on my paper.
Oh, okay.
No, there.
Wait, this one?
Right here. Just trust me. Trust me.
All right. You're taking over here. Okay, let me go over here. And the ultimate goal of this kind of communication is that our relationships and our communities will serve to help tear down walls and build bridges between ourselves and those around us. Walls we may have inadvertently built up over time from unexpressed, unmet needs, past hurt feelings, and to build bridges of authentic, transparent communication given in kindness and compassion and respect. Is this the end then?
Yes,
Okay.
and then you say right there.
Right. This is the best pathway I know to deeper trust and more authentic connections in our families, our friendships, and our communities. KB, I think you will agree this is essential work for us all as we strive to make our lives and the world a more peace-filled place to be, a village.
A village. And I want to thank David. This is something that David has been wanting to share about for a long time, and we've been talking about for a long time. And this message together is a big deal, and it really comes out of your work in life. So thank you so much. It's something we wanted to bring together to our beloved congregation. How do we? Yes. And we. Oh, yes.
We never got to see it.
That's right. So we're going to have one more scene to show a good example of I speak. And I have the feeling, I think this is going to be fantastic. And then we're done.
I can't live with this tension.
Janet, I just had the best therapy session. And I wanted to come and resolve an earlier conversation we had and just say that, you know, I was asking you about ways to connect to church, and you answered me. And really, I just was bringing a lot of insecurity. You know, I didn't even have a name tag yet then. Like, I felt like everyone else fit in. I felt like I was the odd one out. So I brought a lot of baggage. Just feeling like the last kid picked for kickball, you know?
Oh, Sally, I'm so glad to hear this. I felt uneasy with you, and I felt hesitant to really get to the heart of whatever was bothering you. And then, to be honest, I felt really frustrated after a while. And I started thinking, I can't figure Sally out. I'm just so perplexed. I'm so deeply perplexed. So I'm relieved that you've had this session, and I hope you'll tell me more about it. Hey, could we sit down and look at the e-news together, and you could choose something you're really interested in, and maybe we can line up our schedules and go together.
That sounds amazing. I was just thinking what I really should have asked for was, can we go to something together and not just the same e-news list that I look at every week.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you, Janet.
Yay. I invite MR to come forward to lead us in our closing hymn, Building Bridges, and they have instructions for us all. Number 1023.
As the choir continues to come up, they're going to actually help me because everybody needs a little help sometimes. And I said, I don't know if I want to do all of that work by myself. I feel as if that's too much. So I asked the choir to join me. So we are actually going to sing 1023 once for you. It very well may be familiar to a lot of you, but it was new to me, so I wanted to just make sure that we all knew it. And then I'm going to split us up and do a round like we've done in the past together. So Juan, if you could provide an introduction, and we'll sing it once through. Familiar? Sorta? Yeah. I heard some yes, and then I heard some not so much. All right, so we are going to sing. You sing with us once. Then we'll sing, and I'm going to point to you to sing again. And we'll just do it in 2 parts today, since we're sort of time crunching. So here we go. We'll sing together, all of us once. Ready? Sorry. I'm the choir director. Ready? Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. Thank you very much.
Chalice extinguishing. Can you guys read that with me or no? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment, those we carry in our hearts until we are together again.